Now, proposed budget cuts in Colchester, and tonight you can weigh in on the town's school and road projects that are on the chopping block.
Yeah, so town leaders are making adjustments after voters turned down the first proposal last month. Your reporter Anna Stansfield live outside the town hall explaining what voters need to know ahead of tonight's meeting.
Yeah, well, good morning. The town is hoping to make a final decision on these proposed changes by this Thursday before they send another budget proposal to the ballots in July. That's why they want to meet with locals here tonight, making sure they understand what locals want and making sure locals understand what the potential impacts of major cuts could be. Last month, the town proposed a budget that included an 8.2% property tax increase. When voters turned it down, town leaders started looking at ways to make some cuts. Reductions to the Board of Ed's budget could mean teacher furloughs, cuts to staff, and sharing services with the town. Reductions to the town's budget could lead to cuts to some part-time positions, less maintenance to roads and buildings across Colchester, and potential cuts to senior services and Parks and Rec. All of these changes would help save taxpayers money every month. But in tonight's meeting, the town wants to know if you're on board and if you want to see anything else changed. The meeting will be held at William J. Johnston Middle School at 7 o'clock tonight. And if you can't make it in person, you can also join that meeting on Zoom. I'm your reporter live in Colchester, Anna Stansfield, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.